And good morning, everybody. This is the Hawkeye session. Today is Friday, December 18th, the last day of the week, getting near the holidays. Trading foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor. If you have any doubts, this is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during the live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And with that, we'll go to the charts. We're going to the Euro USD. We had an alert at 6:45 this morning. And let me get that up here. And so we had the alert, 6:45. I'm on the 5-minute chart. Basically, here's the London session open. The box I drew is pretty much the highs and the lows of the overnight session before London opened up. And you can see right now it came right on up to where the high of this day's session came up, and it's been rejected. There we did have the wedge. Here is our wedge. It was a descending wedge. Start my A up here to B. Use this for the range, C, D. Here's the wedge. We had the breakout. It came up. I didn't take this trade mainly because, one, I got here a little bit later to see it for one. But the other thing is that even though it came right up, here was a 5-minute 62 Fibonacci or 5-minute Fibonacci. And it is still somewhat consolidating. And I was kind of waiting for this to pull back to the 5-minute Fibonacci range to see if it would check that before we take off again. You can see it blew right through that. So right now, it is somewhat range bound inside this range that we're looking at. So we may get a bounce off of here. This is the 5-minute 62. We have the 30-minute 62 down here. If it comes all the way down here, that's going to be the bottom of this range. And I would say taking a look at either maybe seeing where the RSIs are, where our strength meter is, and maybe take it long down here. If it does break and does continue down, we'd be looking for a target. Now, we've got a lot of different areas of target over here. I don't expect to see this do a whole lot today. Again, everything seems to be somewhat range bound. It is a nice move down overnight, but now it just seems to be kind of all over the place in here. So I'm not going to be real anxious to take this trade. We are getting a break of this bottom trend line. This is a pullback. So, but again, I'm just not going to be, I had a good week this week. I'm not going to be in a real big hurry to take a lot of extra trades today. We may mark it out and maybe just show it by
maybe hit a demo when it comes, if it comes down to like the area of 122.45, like we had mentioned earlier before the call, that would be potentially a zone that I would be looking to take an entry on.
Kind of like this pivot here to this zone right in here. Is that'd be right around what we're talking
lower,
about
yeah. Because I'm
maybe
using
even a little bit lower, using the bottom of the box.
You're right. So you see the that other pivot low to the left, your lowest low. Right, that's where I put my trend line.
That's the overnight low. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started my wedge over there, and then I connected the most recent hit, and then I went for the other one there. So I used a little bit bigger of a trend line just because of all the uncertainty in the market. The bigger you're going to do your trend line, the more validity I've found that it has, especially if you put it on the bigger wicks. Then you know you're not going to get like a Well, the chances of you getting a false breakout are a lot less when you use the higher time frame candles.
And let's see, right here is 22, that's 59. I'm going to move this down to 57, right about there. So there's your about 2 pip area right here on the, off this trend line, off the wedge trend line. And we're getting just a nice little break of the trend line of the wedge, but you can see already here at the apex of the wedge, we did have this was kind of a nice little head fake when you really look at it. There was enough room. If you had taken this trade off of this candle, you probably could have gotten your 7 pips. Yeah, you could have just barely gotten your 7 pips out of that one. And so now from this little break here, you could probably almost even take this on up to this pivot. We do have somewhat of an upward trending wedge here. It's breaking out. The RSIs are way low here on the 5-minute. And let's see, we do have a little bit of a, this looks to me like this could be basically a pullback to go long. Let me see.
Yeah, it does to me.
Yeah,
But
it
let's
looks like,
see. Let's see what's
yeah,
going to happen here. This looks like it could be a nice bounce.
yeah. You see, we're right in the middle of these two fib lines. If you can just check the distance between the bottom of this wick and to these fib lines, you're right
I'm
at, there's
not
10 pips there, and there's 10 pips to the downside. So this thing bounced right in the middle between this, in this zone.
so I'm not content taking the trade right now. I need it to come down more.
Mm-hmm. You like it down into
Yeah,
this
because you
region.
got the 30-minute 62, and it's right there. And then you
Yep.
got the moving average cross on the 1 minute, and then it just seems like it could go down a little bit more before.
Yeah, I like it to see get into this range here a little bit more. We have a
This
little
would be
pivot.
early.
We have on a 5-minute. We have a little bit of a pivot low, a pivot area, a fractal right here. We have a fractal right here where the D is. We have a fractal right here where the B is. Fractals are basically that little three candle formation where you have that one wick in the middle with two, in this case, two higher lows on either side of it. And up here you have a little bit of a fractal. This red candle, here's a little wick with two lower highs on either side of it. Those little fractals, those are pivot points and the higher the time frame, the more valuable those are. You can see right now you got a blue candle with a little lower wick, and you've got a higher low on the left side of it. And we'll see how this candle, and so this could be a little pivot. I'd like to see those little pivot formations, and then you would want to maybe possibly enter on the next candle, not particularly in this particular case, but you'd like to see these little pullback. And then it just makes like a nice little testing zone where it dropped, basing, and see it drop again. We'll see how this thing plays out here. We have a blue candle right in the middle with a lower wick than either side of it. Nice strong move down. Lower low, came back, paused a little bit. We'll see if it can come down into this area to come and maybe take a shot at taking long. If you do, we're going to be inside this overnight range. And you can see after the London opened and made a high, made a little bit of a higher low, pretty much an equal low to where it opened. It opened up lower first, came up higher, got everybody in, came back out, took everybody out, and then made it up. And now it's retesting this little trend line right through here.
It's gonna fake someone out here, my friend.
I kind of like this little area, right? I like this. No, this just made a. It's still a higher low.
Well, that's a drop base drop, right? From the top there.
It's a drop base. It hasn't dropped yet, but it is
It's
basically
gonna.
strong base.
Let's see.
We'll see what it does.
Let's see. I see it coming down a bit.
This was more fun to watch than to be in it right now.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to be in this one yet. And I'm going to be very apprehensive of taking this trade, but if it sets up really nicely, it's going to be a perfect setup, but I could potentially take it, but we'll see.
And you can see that right now it's really kind of this little 5 minute fib line is acting like a little bit of a magnet. It came up, rejected, came went down, crossed over, came back down, rejected, come back down. It's going to come up and retest it. So it seems like it's defaulting right back to this, and it goes from this is right in the middle of this range right now, making higher lows and higher highs. And you're inside this little upward scaling channel.
I'm not a betting man, Al, as you're aware, but I will say that 22.45 is where it's going to go before it comes back up.
22.45 down here testing the lower 30-minute 62.
Yeah, there's that. That's a trend line bounce as well of a higher time frame, and it just seems like there's a couple reasons for it to bounce in that area. So we'll see. This will be interesting.
How much are you wishing to wager?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe my pride for the day. Not much there.
Wouldn't spread that around if I were you, Matt.
It's fine.
He's got no shame.
No, not at all.
And if you look at some of these where these possible fib line bounces are, if we put this on a 2-minute fib, right now we have this on the 5-minute fib, so these are your 5-minute fib lines. The thicker ones are your 15-minute fibs. I'm going to put the 2-minute on. We'll see if we can see where it's bouncing off the 2 minutes. And you remember the 2 minutes are basically there's 7 pips in between. So here's 7 pips from here to here, here to here's another 7. There's another 7. There's another 7. So right now, as I look and see where it's ranging in between. Find out even when I can when I eyeball and draw harmonics, I can just pretty much reference the points on these fib lines for the harmonic patterns, and it usually works out pretty well, all in all. Here's the bottom third. So when you look and see that if it's staying within a range, just say, well, if it gets down here, I'll take it long. If it gets up here, I'll take it short until it breaks out of this range. Worst case scenario is, best case scenario is you're right and you get this whole move down. Worst case scenario is you lose. You have a 7 pip. You get stopped out with a very small stop. And if you use this red line, when we had the original wedge alert, which was pretty much over here, when we had the original alert, and you say, okay, well, if it breaks, if we get a close off here, can I get 7 pips off the close, which is going to be right in the middle of these two ranges? Again, it was pretty tight.
Yeah,
You're
coming
better off
up.
waiting for it to come on up here. I would still be more apt to take it short up here, just based on, but it is probably going to get a little bit higher. So I'd be looking at this being more of a trap area. And looking at this being a trap area. Because the price really once it started trending up, it really hasn't penetrated this area. And if it gets a strong move down, it would be a strong move down right into the trap and then reverse back up again. If it just goes real slow down in here, then it could come down in here base and then break. But with a strong move down like this one, it would be, if it had gotten all the way down here, I'd be more apt to have just taken it. But it found some buyers right in this area. Right now, this area is a pretty fresh trap. And this would be one to, I would be looking at this one to go long. Until then, we sit on our hands and do nothing but watch it and learn from it.
Al,
Yes.
so seeing you moved the B to D, okay?
The B to D?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Would we move our 2-pip entry?
We move the
When
which
we-
entry?
Okay, you know how we drew the trend line, which was 2 pips from the bottom of the wedge?
Oh, this one here. Yeah.
Yeah, the red one.
Uh-huh.
And then, so now that we've changed the playing field a little bit, would we then go 2 pips lower from that
For this one?
B to D? Yes. Would we move that?
I think that's what I would call a subjective move.
Okay.
And the biggest reason why I moved the D was because one, it made a higher low from this one. This was the original D. And so this was the original wedge. We had the alert. Now it did penetrate that, but also stalled. So I kind of like the idea that if it has a strong move up out of the wedge, comes back in, retests the bottom, but breaks the bottom, but still trending higher on the bottom one, I'm okay with moving this thing over. And that's a subjective decision. Now we could look and say that, well, here's the anchor, here's the first hit, here's the second hit. I mean, to still keep this area right here as a valid part of the trend and just leaving that go, I think that's, I think probably what I would be more apt to maybe do is keep the bottom trend line, but then move this thing down to this is the trap area. Now, if it breaks this, it still has to get through this in order to make it worth your while. Plus, would you have enough room for it to, it's got to break through this whole area before it's going to go lower.
Sure.
And so, and you've got some reason to think it's not going to do that because you've got this 30 minutes 62. Now, if all of these other 3 moving averages can get pointed in the right direction, which at this point they're not, right now they're still just sort of consolidating, still somewhat respecting the 5 minutes 62. If you go down to your 1 minute chart, you can see it's all consolidating right now too. So it's not ready for a decisive breakout yet. We have our 5 and 3s. Euro still showing stronger on all 3 time frames, but not by a lot. It's there's just not enough opposing strength to get that momentum going to the other side. So right now, I just view that just as ranging in between these 2 areas. This red trend line just confirms the fact that it's not ready to break out yet. So then right now we just sit on our hands and wait. What you could do in the meantime, while we're waiting for this to happen, we'll put an alert on this line. I'll put alert on that red trend line. If it breaks through that, it'll get us back to take a look at it. Let's take a look at our correlator tool here and just see which areas. Right now the euro is strong, the yen strong. The yen is relatively strong on the 30 and 15. These are the ones I look at more often than not because that's the time frame that we trade against. And so I'd be looking at the euro is relatively strong. The British pound is weak.
Yeah,
So the British yen would be a possibility. We have the British is strong here, or the yen is strong here. The British is weak all. So I would think that if we trade the Aussie against the British or the yen against the British, might be a reasonable thing to do. The British pound, we're in the London session right now. So let's take a look at the British yen and see if that gives us anything to look at. So
look at that breakdown.
Oh, the euro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let's keep an eye on this one then.
Yeah. That's almost at the zone I was looking for.
But you can use that as a bounce, or you can use it as a.
That's not a bounce yet.
No.
Nope. It's got to come down more.
Someone told me once, they said, make the price come to you. Know where you want to get in, and wait until the price gets to it.
Yeah. That's how you keep your head straight for longer periods of time. It's better not to take the trade than to take a loser. If it doesn't fit your criteria, right?
It's somewhat respecting this trend line right here.
It is. I still think it's going to go lower.
Well, you have all of our RSIs on the 15 and 5. They're still pointing down. They're crossed over. They're both pointing down. So there's still some downward pressure. If it does break out of the bottom of this box, this trend, we're looking at the 15. We have a 15-minute Fibonacci sitting down here. We had a strong move up. And so right here we had a little bit of a rally basing, and not really much of a rally. Then it came back and retested this area. So there's a little bit of a area right in here that I'd be looking at as a target area. If it does break, there's our alert. And I'd be looking at pretty much as a target area. If it were to break out the bottom, I would be looking at this area right in here to possibly where this thing might break through the bottom in here. And now
I still think it's going to bounce at the bottom and go up.
Yeah, I'm still more inclined to go with that too. Is that I'm looking more of a bounce. What it may do is it may cross into our 5-minute fib zone. Here's our. Let's see. Where's our 2-minute? Do we have that in here still? Let me go to the 5-minute chart. This is the undershoot area where I have the trap, and if this critter goes and breaks through this trap or doesn't get trapped here, it may have another. We can set another trap on this side. That would be this. This would be the undershoot, and we can come down here and put an overshoot area in. So that basically gives us a 14 pip range. Whatever range it's in here, we can look at the upper, there's 7, if it's 14. If we get in down here, we can be looking at taking, we could get our 7 pips, probably even 14 or 12 pips by the time it gets back up to this other 5-minute range. Remember, between these 5-minute, between every 3 of these 5-minute range, every 5-minute range is 21 pips on this pair.
It's gonna fake some people out.
Mm-hmm. It's just not ready to break down. I said that was a strong move down, but all it was strong enough just to break through this and say, oh, people say, oh, I'm going to go short right here. We broke my wedge. It broke my trend line. I said, I'm not a big fan of breakout trades. I had an arrow alert last night, just right around 11 o'clock last night on the British New Zealand to go short. I just got out of that trade with 26 pips.
Hey, good for you.
And
Oh, you took it that late at night?
I did.
Miracles do happen.
Well, it was during the Sydney Tokyo session.
Okay, so you're
and
Asian
I thought,
breakout.
Yeah, so I gave it my 40 pips, 20, and I actually gave a little bit more than 20 pips. And I just thought, well, we'll see what happens overnight. And so I took it, and it went sideways overnight. It ranged inside that 20, 40 pip range. I never really did do anything. And then this morning, just now, it just got close to my target, so I put it in the bank.
I didn't know. I don't know if you heard me earlier, Al, when I was mentioning to Matt that on Arrow, that Nathan had spoken. Well, first he gave the strategy number 4 for the cross out of the MA.
Is that strategy in the Auvoria Prime website? Do we know
I
that?
didn't investigate that far.
Okay, I'll
Just
check
was
it out.
like, I mean, Jackie just mentioned it last night.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was reading some of the telegrams before class started, and then there was a little video from Nathan talking about the EA of the Arrow.
Okay, so they did make it into an EA. I knew they were talking about making it into an EA.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have accomplished
For the
that.
new year, I think it is that they're going to
Okay.
finalize it. That's what
Okay.
I heard, but
Yeah, he didn't specify that in the short little. It was like a 30-second video, and he says, "You've all asked for it, so now here it is." And then just showed a little clip of it.
Okay, all right.
So something for people to look forward to.
Yep. It does have it is a indicator system. It's a manual trading system. I find it to be very good, but you also have to know how to trade it, or it will still eat your lunch. You have to know you have to understand the manual trading aspect. It's not complicated, but he does have some rules that you need to pay attention to when you trade it manually.
Yes, they really stress that out. They say rules, or you get smoked.
Yeah, you'll get smoked or rinsed or dusted or
washed.
Yeah,
you're gonna get your butt handed to you if you don't listen to the rules. That's just the way it is. Well, it's like anything. Like you drive a car, you don't listen to the rules. Guess who's not going to be in the car very long?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Like it's just the way it is. There's so many metaphors that you can use with driving and trading and all this stuff. There's rules for a reason.
And we say all the time is don't trade without a trade plan. And don't make up your trade plan as you go. Just have a plan and then trade it. And if it doesn't work, then make modifications to it. But traded on every trade, don't modify your rules. You either have it or you don't have them. There's like certain things have to happen in order for it. Like for instance, like right now, I will not take this trade unless it gets down in here. And then once it gets down in this area, then I'll decide, okay, does it fit the rules to take it long or does it fit the rules to take it short? And one of my rules would be is that if it gets down in this area and the RSIs get up into this area, then and it stays in this area, then I'll take it short. But if it gets into this box and these RSIs come on down and they start hooking going up, you may as well plan on taking it long. At least you probably get a chance to get your 7 pips out of it. And if it goes up and halfway and turns around and goes back, well, then maybe it's a different story. But part of the rules is it's got to come in here. These have to be down low. They have to be pointed in the upper direction. And then I would take it long. If it comes down this area and everything's still buried and going flat down here, then you can take it short. Until then, you just sit and wait. Find out your range. As I said before, is that everything is trending on one time frame and going sideways on another time frame. You want to try now find out where is it going sideways and then try and catch the trends inside that sideways range. So this is my playground today, right in here. And this is the playground I'll be staying in until it breaks out of the playground. Then it goes, then you find out where the next playground was. This is our sandbox. And sometimes these guys don't play very nice inside the sandbox. For those of us who are old enough to know that we played in sandboxes.
Yeah, and the other thing is sometimes you need to know when to put the toys down in the sandbox and walk away.
Yeah.
Before you end up getting hurt. And so this kind of movement, unless it gets down deeper, I'm putting my toys down.
If you look and see, if you look again, you look at other time frames, and you look at, I like look and see what the price action was on the day before, and you can see like this was a strong move up. It started down low and closed up higher. So this was basically it was a green daily candle, and this was the range of this daily candle. So I'll look at and I'll do that. I will make see where the candle is, and say, okay, this thing closed out as a green candle. Here's the new day. And right now it's in the upper part, and it's sort of like this is a rally. It's kind of basy, and it may go up higher, but it may come back down and retest this range. So it's still, this is just a little bit bigger sandbox, but still a sandbox. If it breaks through here, it could come on down and retest the midway of yesterday's range. But yesterday was Thursday, and a lot of times you'll get the bigger moves Thursday. If you look in the day before and see what the move was the day before, you see, well, the day before we basically had it was a doji. It's opened up here, went up higher, went down lower, and actually it's if this was the open where this blue line is, so this is really what the candle looked like from a daily standpoint. Opened up. This was from where it opened. This is the red zone of yesterday. And from here to the high, this would be how the candle closed out green. This is what the candle looked like, and that closed all the way out here. So basically, it opened the high, the low. Here's the close. It closed very much near the high, went base real small basing overnight, and then it took off again. And this was the whole next day's move. This was Thursday. Well, now we're into Friday, and we're trying to see, okay, is it going to give up some of those gains? If this was where the low was on the day before, this would be probably a target area. This is where the open was on the day before. Always try to keep in mind where it was going, where it's liable to go back to retest. Oops. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Wrong one. Euro US. Let's go back there. Again, we're still waiting for it to get into this area, and then we make a decision. Is this going to, do we want to try and take this break? Here's our original wedge. My crystal ball is a little foggy on this one, but it hasn't broken through the overnight session yet. All the moving averages on the 5-minute are now pretty much we're about ready to get the 1362 cross, which is a major crossover. It is trending down here a little bit, but here's like an A, B, C move and could come back up and retest. It says still hasn't broken out of the overnight range, which is this one right in here. And we're right in the mid-range of the overnight move. Looks like there's an alert on the British yen. Should be to go to the strength of the yen.
We were talking about that for
Yeah, we're looking at that earlier, and I just got an alert on the arrow to go short on the British yen. I think on that one, I think I would wait for a bounce, not to take it short. Let's take a look and see what it looks like real quick.
We're getting close to the bottom on Euro US. Or at least what could be a bottom. Well, we're not quite there yet.
No, I still want to see it get into this zone. This is a nice little, here's a break, here's a retest of the wedge. We had the head fake. It is showing weakness down here. Now the question is, do you want to take this one? I mean, you could take it on a breakout and look for this for the target. Would you have 7 pips here? Possibly. No, you got 9 pips. It is showing weakness. Euro US. I think you could probably take this thing short. We have having a little bit of a pullback in showing a lot of strength to the downside. I think I'm going to take this thing short. I'm not going to go for a lot. Maybe go right for in this area right here. Sell. I'm going to use the body of this candle, this blue candle right here for a sell stop, 1.2251. Sell stop. 2.5. Down just a little bit. And my target's going to be modify 7 pips, 10 pips. My target's the blue line. I am not in this trade yet. I do like the strong move down. Came back up, retested this. We have a little bit of a, got this, it's going to have to get through here. If this was rejected, it should keep on going. If not, it may have another strong move down. This wedge area seems to be holding pretty well. I've got my stop above. If it goes back into this upper main wedge, I'll be out of this trade. Again, I'm not a fan of breakout trades, although this is pretty much when you do these wedge trades, that's what they are. They're breakout trades. I do think that's right. I think it's going to go down lower. I think we're going to get a bounce off of here, but there's enough room to take that 7 pip scalp.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty fair trade if you wanted to take that short. It would be short, literally. But who knows how far it's going to go.
Yeah.
Let me see.
The thing I like about this, here is my 5 minute. It came up, broke, went down, retested it. It got retest right in here. Couldn't take it. Now we're rejecting. Now it looks like it wants to come back down and perhaps retest the 5 minute area, which is right where we have our zone.
If I may make a PSA, it is open mic Friday.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, please,
Put it in the chat,
anybody,
sometimes.
just raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to turn your mic on and ask questions. This is an open forum. We'd like to have some verbal input. We're just a family in here, just trying to take trades and learn how to trade together. There's a lot of people out there that do. There's a lot of people out there that do things differently than I do, and I don't know all the answers. Trust me.
We have a descending on the U.S. yen.
Ah, okay.
Hot off the press.
We will take a look at that. I am in this trade right now, seeing if it can get our 7 pips. Like I said, I'm gonna go for the bounce off of the 30-minute 62. All of our 5-minute moving averages are all in the right direction. We are getting the 1362 cross on here. That's showing some strength to the downside. Our RSI, it came down and it crossed over. We have everything's moving in the right direction down here. And we're showing dollar strength. Not a lot, but a little bit here on the 5-minute. But we have dollar strength on all 3 time frames. We have a little push down. And just let it do its thing, let it breathe. And let's see, while we're looking at that, I'll take another look at the US yen on another chart here and see what maybe I'll find. We were showing strength on the yen earlier when we were looking at our correlator.
Yes, we were.
And this is a descending wedge on the, so that's looking at it trending to the downside. 845. Nice little push down coming into our trap zone. Let me move my target up just a little bit so it gets filled.
Oh, you're still not in it, Al?
I'm in it. I'm just about ready to take my profit, actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to not let the
You taking
spread.
5 pips? Because
I'm
it's
just
still...
I'm just going for 5 pips right now.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're
looking for a bounce
still...
off. I'm looking for a bounce off of here. You can see
You're going to
this
get a
coming
little
down.
bit of a pullback here, but you're still going to be in the downtrend.
I don't want a winning trade to be turned into a losing trade.
No, and if worst comes to worst, you can always take another position.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's done yet. I think it's still going to close on that 30-minute 62.
This is still showing weakness. We haven't got any hooks yet. Right now, both of them are coming into the extreme zone. Remember, a lot of times we're also looking at seeing if the 8 has to get down to the 75, and then let's see the 3-period hook and go show strength above the 8. But right now we're still looking at still fighting to get down here low enough. It still has 5. Okay, that candle just closed. Wasn't able to come down to the. Now this should be a drop, maybe basing, and it could drop again. If this is a drop-based drop, I should be fine with. I should be able to move my stop to break even, and that way I protect. That way I'm not going to lose anything on this trade. It's going to come back and retest it possibly, which I don't want to get stopped out just yet. I'll take a 1 pip loss on this if I need to. But you may also see where it comes up, the price comes up, and it may take my stop out even though the candle doesn't get all the way up to that area because the spread will just grab it. Ideally, I should probably keep it up here, even if I'd rather not have to take another position on this just because of the pullback. Oftentimes, you're just better off just letting your stop alone.
It's a mighty long wick.
See, it dropped down. It came back looking for stops. This big red candle is that's a 6 pip candle. Keep in mind that this is also the area that I was looking to possibly take it long. Now, the reason I took it short is because there was enough room down here to grab that 5 pips. There again, the spreads did not get me out of it.
I still see it coming down, Al. You see the structure of that candle that you just witnessed, that big wick that it went back up. It went about
Yeah, right up in here.
68% of the way into the candle and then came back down. It's not going up. They tried to push it up, but it didn't.
Yeah. This is actually kind of the origin. Well, actually, origin is all the way up here. But this, if you just look at this one candle, this one single 5-minute candle, you'll see that it came all the way up to a pretty much a 50% retrace, 50 to 60% retracement of this big candle. And so we could actually almost even look that the target now could actually be right in here, right in this, and what you see, this 30-minute 62 is right in this little box right here, which should get me profit, should be able to take my target on that. This will be the target reference to this candle. You can see how it respected this little 7-pip zone right in here. This whole area right here is basically what I call the undershoot area, undershoot of the 5. Here's a 5-minute. Here's the undershoot. Here's our 7 pips before it. Here's our 7 pips after it, and it basically undershot this this zone so far. Now the question is, can it come back down the next push down? Will it bounce off of this area? In the meantime, it would get my target. Coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. As long as the price can stay outside, inside, below or inside this channel between this 13 and the 5, this is still going short. Everything's still hanging down here below the 50% line on the RSI. Even when it bounced up, it couldn't break the 50%. It's still staying down here in the, looking over here to the left, is at 34 and 29%. So it's still hanging below the 40. As long as it stays below the 40, this thing could still stay being a short. And one more little push, I should have my target.
That's an easy target, Al. That'll be, the pullback wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah. It's showing some dollar strength. You know, the dollar is getting back to being a little stronger again. Let's see how it looks on the RSI, on the correlator. The dollar is getting a little stronger on the 3 hour, middle of the range, a little bit stronger here on the 5 and the 15. And this is, we're comparing it to the euro. You see on the 30-minute, they just switched where they're pretty much neck and neck right now in the middle. And here the dollar is getting a little bit stronger on the lower time frames. But this is indicating that you've seen it like on the 5-minute area of our correlator here. On the 5-minute chart, which is this one right here, you can see the dollar is a little bit stronger than the euro, gaining some strength. But on the 3 hours, the euro is still stronger. So it still has a little bit of upward pressure on the higher time frame. In the U.S. yen wedge alert, it's kind of inside the wedge, so there's nothing to look at there right now. I'll keep you posted. You see we have a nice little cross of the 13 and 62 cross. Everything's still pointing down here, pointing down, pointing down. As long as these are pointing down, as long as these moving averages are pointing down, you're still getting a lot of downward pressure. So a lot of time you keep your stop at least out of harm's way, we should be able to get that target. It's not ready to go long yet.
no, I think it's still going to punch pretty much lower.
Yeah. You figure this
it'll make a new low before it goes up.
Remember, we still have this little area right in here. We have to be mindful of this the BD area is where this kind of started before when we got the wedge alert. There it goes. There's one more little push. Remember, it still has to cross through the spread area in order to get my target filled. We just opened up the 9 o'clock hour. Just doesn't like that 45 area.
Funny, we were talking about 45 and 40 not that long ago.
You see, it had a
Yesterday.
strong rejection right off of that point. Remember, this is the first 5-minute candle of the new hour. So you see, like how this strong rejection down there, you'd be thinking of, see how close it came to my target, and just like, now he said, yeah.
There's no way it missed your target.
Well, it came right there, but it didn't take the target because it didn't get
Sugar.
because the spread. But see, this I just left it on there for this particular reason, is that when
okay.
it gets that close to your target, and you see it sort of having a hard time struggling, just close it out. I left it on here just for this purpose. He said, okay, you're already profitable. Now it's just like, okay, now it's looking at my stop now. And my guess is it will come up here. It won't even get up to where my stop is. It'll take my stop. I'm just using this for demonstration purposes. As we say, this room is for educational purposes only. I'm just trying to show you what happens from a visual standpoint. It was like, okay, here was like, I was already profitable. Now it's like, here, now it's that. Now if I had moved my stop down here, I would have gotten stopped out, maybe with a small loss or maybe a small gain. But now I have to just make the decision. Now do I want to get back in it again? Well, I mean, I gave myself some room here, but it's a little frustrating when you say, okay, you get so close to your target, just take the target. And if it breaks, more than likely it's going to come back and give you another opportunity to take it short again if it keeps on going short. I mean, I'm still in the trade, but look at the extra heat I've taken. It's just like, now this is where it starts putting a head trip on you, because you already had a profitable day, but you didn't take it off the table. Now you have to go through the whole mental gymnastics again of saying, well, is it going to come back down again? Now we have some strength of the fact we had this crossover right up in here. That's important. I want to make sure your stops are out of that. But even where my stop is right now, it's kind of iffy whether or not it's going to stick me out. Remember, you have your spread, and I like moving my stop. I'm still only at a 5-pip stop loss on this thing, so I'm still good with that. But you just have to keep in mind that you've got to give it room to breathe. Let's see what it is on our higher time frames. Still showing dollar strength. Dollar is second currency of the pair, so we have strength to the downside. Take some of this stuff off. Now we're just going to just strictly at price action here.
Would you be surprised if I said that it's still within the wedge that I drew before the session there? It hasn't broken out or nothing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
It just
surprised at all.
bounced.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Here's the low. Here's your bottom of your wedge, I believe is what you drew, the trend line.
Yeah. Yeah, just about there.
Yeah, so here's the low. Here's the
Clean
overnight low.
bounce, actually. Clean bounce.
Here's where we had the wedge. Here's the low before the wedge alert. A lot of times, it's not a bad idea to have a little bit bigger areas so that what it does, the bigger your wedge, the bigger your playground is to be able to maybe take that long down here to come up to the next area. Now you can see that this is a channel. This is an ascending channel. We have higher highs, lows, higher lows, still a higher low. If you look at this low right here where we are right now, this low did not come down and break this one. So this bottom of the wedge is still good. Then you have the top of the channel, which would be pretty much right in here. We could take this back and see where we can find an area that, like, here's this nice red, big, long candle. Use the top of that. There's an anchor. There's a hit. There's a hit. This is the channel right in here. Remember we said earlier, you could also possibly take it long down in this area. This is the undershoot area of the 5 minute. Here's our other 5 minutes. So we have the overshoot area up here. This is the overshoot, which is right where this 7 pip region is right where the top of this channel came in when it broke the original wedge to the first place. So we have an overshoot of this 5 minute. We have an undershoot of this 5 minute, and so we're trending in the upper direction. And with it, I'm back to break even. I'm just going to take this thing off right now because I don't really like this trade anymore. I'd be more apt to take it to the upside. And that's based on the fact it came down to this area right in here, this trend line, wick down, came back up, wick down, came back up. This red candle came down, couldn't hold it. Blue candle opened up, went down, couldn't hold it. Now it's a blue candle. And if you really look at this thing on the 15-minute chart, you can see this blue candle made a lower low than the red one. We'll see where this one closes and then let it make another third candle, and we'll see if it forms that this blue candle now is a pivot low or a fractal low, and then we'd be looking at it to go on the upside. This red candle here is a fractal low. Here's a left candle. There's a low, a higher low on the left, higher low on the right, lower low and lowest low in the middle, with a red candle, blue candle on either side. There it goes, takes off the upsides. We're looking to see what this candle will do right now. We still have another 5 minutes for this candle to form. This is sometimes where it's a little bit easier just being on the higher time frames. We actually have an engulfing candle. This red candle now has just been engulfed by this blue candle.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
How are you? Sorry I'm late.
Good morning.
Trying to figure out if I can turn everything up. Hold on.
Oh, that's Brian. I'm sorry. Who's this person talking to me?
Yeah. No, it's Brian.
A blast from the past.
So it's been so long since I've talked to this guy. I don't even recognize his voice anymore.
I actually haven't been to bed yet.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my goodness.
That doesn't sound like a good thing.
I've been studying and then I couldn't sleep. It's part of the game, I guess. Get ready for a break, and so today's gonna be a long day.
When is your Christmas break start?
We're off today.
Oh, okay. That's why you're here now.
That's why I apologize for being late, because I was planning on being here right at start.
Oh.
But took a shower. I'm moving like major slow.
Well, we're
I
all
must
glad
be
that you took a
dehydrated
shower.
because I'm cramping everywhere.
We're all glad that you took. We're all glad you took a shower.
Yeah, it's the first one
Yeah.
since March.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, that's sad because I just put that on a recording for people to hear.
And too much information, Brian. Honestly.
All right. Got all sorts of things going on. Got
Yeah.
Arrow.
Yeah, we've got IRIS alerts going all over the place. We've got
Gearbox.
arrow alerts. We've
That
got
was a good gearbox drawdown 2 days ago, and recapturing that. Everything's looking good
Yeah. Did you hit 20% as well?
for the month.
Down 20% drawdown.
Oh no, I didn't get that far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw a couple of people get 20%,
Yeah.
but I mean, they made a killing.
Well, I'm not doing the. I'm one lot short of proper position sizing.
Oh, okay.
So I was experiencing, $4,800 account, 0.03 entry. I was down $300. So, but now it's 120 something. So all is good. So I've got all my tools. I got my trading view up. I've got the arrow up. I've got the variable up. I've got the gearbox up.
all right.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's
You
kind
sound like you're all ready to rock and roll for next year.
Are you sure you didn't miss anything?
I'm an Auvoria Prime guy.
Can
And
tell.
my manual trading is just holding on. It's just doing its thing. A little slow, a little weird, but that's what's always at this time of year for my manual side. My personal strategy.
Yeah, it's funky
Arrow
trading.
drops down that 15-minute and changes everything.
Oh, I know.
I'm trying to get into. There we go.
Yes, I think this thing is going to go sideways for at least for another 15 minutes or so.
$1.
till the market
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it's basically playing inside the overnight playground, which is this white box right here, and it's also inside a upward sloping trend line.
Matt, to answer your question, the worst drawdown I've had is 6%,
Oh, okay.
In
That's
gearbox,
laughable.
in the gearbox.
and we're not even a month out. We got another. Obviously next week won't be a good picture of trading, but
No.
I'm at 12% return already.
That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's trending with what I've experienced results wise over the last 6 months. So it's good.
And then my
And just for-
variable,
and
I'm
just
still
for
trying to
people that-
learn.
Just for people that may be thinking about this, when you say 6%, that may, in some cases, that may sound like a lot. But if you're only taking 10% of your net tradable net worth, if you're only taking 10% of that and you're down 6% of that 10%, you're down still less than 1%.
Right. That's true. Still trying to learn variable a little bit. I've got just one pair up. I'm and very, very, very cautious because I don't know it. But remember, you guys know that I can't trade in demo. So I go live with very, very conservative. I'm still up even for since December 11th in a week. I'm up 1.2%. So I'm not upset at that at all.
No, that's better than anything you can get at any financial institution. That's even better than hedge fund money, man.
Yeah, that's 52% annualized. So I'm still not quite getting what it does and how to maximize that. But
That's fine. That's fine. Just sit on it, and then as you research, as you experience, then it'll start making more sense.
I know we're on an IRIS call, but I do have a question about Arrow.
Ooh, fun.
Since I am doing a session probably Monday night, it is just like my Monday night.
Yeah.
This tool is exactly the same thing. The difference is the time frame.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you were gonna love it. I
jumped in. This is what kept me up. I jumped in and compared. I pretty much know what that moving average is.
Oh, okay. Go figure.
And I've set my 15-minute to pretty much hit their same zones that he's hitting. I mean, he wasn't far off anywhere. We're talking 5-6 pips at most. Just trying to figure out what he's doing with the software. But I did notice when I uploaded the MT4 with the arrow, there's Arrow and there's Arrow V2.
Yes.
Yeah,
they
there's
just
two versions.
Yeah, they just have updated the version.
So we go with the V2, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I had. I was just making sure.
I think the change is that they added the functionality to change the money zone based on your broker. I think that's
Okay.
the only. There's no logical change. Like there's no. I think it's just the.
Well, the other change on the version 2 is that it gives you the little pip count on the lower
Yeah.
right-hand corner.
Oh,
of the
you're
chart.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
It tells
Yes, I
you
forgot that.
what pairs do you have open and what your pip drawdown or profit is on those. So if you got 4 pairs open, that little box will tell you exactly where you are with each of your pairs without having changed screens all the time.
And
It's
Al,
like a counter.
have you told everybody that's in the room this morning what's coming in January?
I didn't.
Yeah, I think you did.
Do you have any final word on that, Brian?
It's being ironed out. He's waiting for my plan. I'm guessing it's being ironed out with Susan, but it looks like it's going to go through.
Okay.
We're going to do all alerts here in this morning, and we'll just call it Hawkeye strategy. And whatever alert comes up, we play with, which will make it a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, that way, if you
Yes.
have IRIS alert, we'll have that. If we have the arrow alert, we'll play with
Right.
that.
You'll have multiple places that you can go. It's going to be cool.
And we'll basically trade it technically. We'll get the alerts and we'll trade them technically. Because one thing about the arrow is that it gives you an alert, but that doesn't mean you want to take the trade. And so you
Right.
look at the technicals on it
No.
to see if maybe you can get a better entry. I mean, you don't want to, if it says to go short and you're in a slight smaller, lower time frame uptrend, we just wait for that little uptrend to be pulled back so you don't take that drawdown.
Right.
And then oftentimes they'll get me in a 5 pips better position entry gives you an extra 5 pip target or a target that gets hit earlier. So, and that's what we'll do in this room is we'll just help to sort of qualify the trades that the alerts that the arrow or iris is giving us.
And is there an Arrow Telegram channel yet?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, there is. There's an Arrow one, and there's also an Arrow announcements one as well.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I'll have to find it.
You can find it in the AP products. If you go into the Auvoria Prime products setup list, you'll find the Telegram channels in there.
Okay, I'll find it. I just did a search.
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time.
I searched.
I didn't think it was that hard. It's just all you have to go through.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I wasn't sure if you were or not.
No.
But yeah, it's if you just go through the product setups, it'll be right there in one of the little drop down menus of those little modules that you complete, and it'll be in one of those modules.
Right.
It's because I've heard too many people complain about how hard it was to find, and it took me like 3 minutes.
Well, I just typed in AIRO and nothing came up. So you have to probably have the link. It may be it's one of those private things where you can't necessarily search it. You have to know it. I would guess.
Say, Brian, while you're here,
Yes, sir.
what should we modify our schedule here for next week and the week of before and after Christmas?
Let me get with Sal right now and say.
See if we can change the.
Because I will probably be on the road for a part of that time, and so
Trading's not going to be ideal anyway, from a trading perspective. So.
one thing I am somewhat sensitive to is that there are going to be some people that can't make these rooms during the daytime that may actually have an opportunity to make them during this week, and then they're not going to be able to do that because they're not going to be here. So I'm a little sensitive to that.
Yeah, well, most of the time I will be around. Not all. I mean, I have family coming in as well. We're not going anywhere. The week after, I'm sure my female side of my household will be going shopping or doing something. So minor adjustments where we all three, Matt, even in any of the presenters, we get together and find out what we have available. And obviously Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yeah, we won't be doing anything those days.
We can make those decisions after our session today.
And we'll try and get them posted somehow,
Yeah,
someplace.
I just sent a note to Sal. Are we allowed to change our trading schedule during the next week and week after?
And right
Trading's
now, we
not
plan on
always
being
safe.
here Monday. I'll plan on being here Monday, and then we can maybe make the announcement Monday if once we
Yeah,
know.
and
what the
Monday
next-
night we're doing a arrow because it's so similar to what I'm doing already. Amy wanted me to jump in, and that's part of the thing I was watching last night, trying to figure out if am I qualified to know enough. But I don't think she cares if I'm qualified to know enough. It's because it's for those who are interested in it, and they will be new as well. But I'll be taking it from a new person's perspective.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if you couldn't sleep last night because you've been looking at it, you've basically got it. Like it's not. Now there are certain levels, so there's like 7 or 8 ways to trade it. So I think if we keep it just
We're gonna keep simple. It's an introductory. It's not an actual
super
slash.
simple,
Yeah.
then I mean, literally.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I mean, they got 16-year-olds trading it, making $3,000 a week.
Doesn't surprise me.
And
Doesn't surprise me.
That speaks volumes in itself. That there's nothing else to say.
There's your move, Al, on your candle.
Well, but here again, look again. It keeps rejecting that.
It's coming.
And the thing is that this thing's gradually coming on up, gradually as this thing goes.
It has to break that moving average.
But it's still not. It's got before it goes lower. But said this is still my area that I'm still more apt to take it long in this area than take it short. But I did have a trade entry up here, and this was my 7 pip target, and it came right down to the target area, but it wouldn't close me out because of the spread.
Definitely don't take it long.
And so,
any news today on the Euro US?
I don't know, but
nothing much. Here's the news.
We pretty much cleared most of the news this week.
Yeah, here's 8:30. We had a little bit of some orange candles here, but nothing much for the rest of this for Friday.
What's next week look like, Al? As far as news?
Next week, let's see. Next week, let's see where I can go. Here's the 19th, 20th. Nothing much. Well, nothing much on the calendar right now.
Yeah, not on the 20th. What's your 21st look like?
21st. Nothing much there.
22nd. Yeah,
a little bit more on the 22nd.
Final GDP. And then that's your last day of trading. So there's no red, but it's not the end of the month either. So the week after.
They're again starting the 23rd. You're not going to have a whole lot of anything because of the holiday.
There's going to be a lot of novice traders trying to
move the market, which they're not going to.
No, baking holiday on the
Christmas Day,
of course. And nothing on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Still nothing much. You can see there's just nothing much on the calendar here.
Which is really strange considering that's the last week of the year, last week of the quarter. But that's normal for this time of year anyway. So very good. So it will be knowing that no banks, institutions, governments are going to be working. It's going to be very, very sporadic.
Yeah.
Signals aren't going to be true. I probably will not trade. I'll trade Gearbox because Gearbox is a little bit different, but I probably won't do my Arrow or my Iris.
Even like you see, even like with this move here today, it's just like it's even for as strong as the dollar is right now, it's still not really doing much. I mean, it hasn't from the
you
time
have the potential. You've got a double top M there. You have the potential to go down that green box area.
But from the time we got the alert, which was at 6:45, I believe, until now, I mean, it's
10, 15 pips.
Well, 23 pips in the last, let's see, where
2.5 hours.
Last 2.5 hours.
Oh, it's like watching paint dry. Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah.
I think that may happen faster.
Those days where we were getting our in and out within 20 minutes from the alert time till the time we took the trade off the alert till the time we got out, 20 minutes. We haven't had those days. I mean, occasionally
those pretty much stopped before Thanksgiving for me.
Yeah,
long gone.
Yeah, it's been pretty much ever since the election. There's just been a lot of
people are not playing with the election. They don't want to risk their bigger accounts. Because they've already made their money in the year. So why over risk? Just pull out a little early and get ready for next year.
I think you're going to see silver, gold, and those precious metals rise in January.
Oh, silver's going to go through the roof.
Gold's getting back up to the 1900 level. The Bitcoin is pulled off its high a little bit today. It's
Well, that's expected, but
I
I'm
made a lot of money on
expecting a
Bitcoin.
dump.
yeah.
Wait,
I was shocked when I woke up and I went, I've doubled my account.
yeah. Yeah, my wife was super. Not my wife. One of my buddies that got
One of
into
your other
Bitcoin
wives?
early. Yeah. This is recorded, by the way.
I
So
know.
here-
We're playing. It's not
go.
true. It's not true.
Here, the Euro US is now coming right in, it's coming right into my target zone.
Yep.
Finally,
Yeah,
huh?
fine. But
when
look
we
at it.
talk-
It's still kind of. I mean, it's still look at that.
It's gonna
it's
hit
ha-
the
it-
moving average.
it's hammering. Well, I think it will too. It's hammering away at it, but boy, it sure is taking a sweet time. And look
Yeah.
at the range of this pullback. I mean, it's still. I mean, here was I mean, it finally broke out of this candle. But look at the range of this thing.
And you see how big those wicks are. That means
that's an
no
8
trade
That's
in
yeah.
my books. That means no trade. You're not taking a trade when your wicks are the same size as your candle bodies, and you have this many consecutive wicks in a row, and you have wicks coming out of both ends of your candles. You're just that. Remember we were talking about putting down the toys and walking away from the sandbox. This is it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even take a trade today.
Yeah, I just took this one just to, as a demonstration of where there was room for your 5 or 7 pips, but even so, it came right down and still wouldn't get me out with even if I think I had 5.6 or 7 target on it. I moved it back, it still wouldn't close it out. It came right down, and my target was right here at just above this 30 minutes 62. Well, it was basically right here, and it still wouldn't have taken. It may have taken me out just on this last one now, after about another 45 minutes of it. So I'm going to sit here and do that, burn up 45 minutes worth of emotional inventory for less than a half a pip, trying to take my profit, and have it go all the way back and get me negative. So you're profitable, come back and get you a little bit of drawdown, get back and profitable, get you drawdown. And it did that like 1, 2. This is the third time it would have done that. So finally, just said,
you have a green dash line. Is that your fibs?
these are basically what I've done is I have the solid 15-minute, and then I put the 5 minutes in between.
Okay, yeah. And that green box, that's where I think you're heading.
This green box, well, if
Yep.
it breaks through here, that's the target. This is the target zone.
But if you squinch up your screen just a tad, you'll see you kind of got a double top M look.
Double top M look.
You got your high there and your high right where your cursor's at.
Oh,
there.
right here. Here's the low. Here's the M right here.
Yeah, you got your M. So a lot of times you can measure the middle point where it hit that red line to the top.
Yep.
And that's the distance it'll go down.
And this is also right. Yeah, when we do this, when we talk about the stick, we've not talked about that a few times, where we had the stick. And so here's our stick. I'll make this vertical. Come over here to where the alert was. Here's the bottom of the wedge. Here's the top of it where it pretty much, and then this is the break. Let's see, let me just move that out of the way. And so here's where the breaks out, and it comes right back. And actually, this would probably be where the breakout would be, and then this would be where the target would be to the downside.
It's funny how it all works out, doesn't it?
And it just works out. And you look over here where this thing was, where we had the up move, strong up move, trending, came back down, retested this area, which is right at the pretty much. Let's see, where did I come up with that line here? That's on a different time frame probably, but here's the retest zone right here. Here's where it was retested, and you come over here, you can see right here is where the top of it is. That's where the top of the target is, and it all works out. It all works out. And on that note, it is on that note, it is 9:30, and we can call this session over. But that was a good example of where you could get a little bit of profit, but you're still looking at. I said I would still be more apt to take it. Well, I'm not allowed to take a long or short right now because I do think that we have all the pressure coming down. It's going to consolidate into here, and if you can get a break of this 30 minute 62, get a break of the 5 minute, I could see it coming down to getting one of these little numbers where it comes down, breaks, comes back, retests, and then comes back down like that. And then this will be the new zone of the magnet where the prices are going to this is these right now. This is the demand that now becomes supply. Once this gets broken, it comes back up, then this is going to be the area that I'll be looking at. But until then, it's just going sideways. It's staying inside the overnight high and overnight low playground area, which is this area right here. Hasn't broken out of that area yet, from the London open to London high to London low. And now we're right in the middle of everything. We're just about having it open for the US market. That may push it down as the dollar gets stronger. When the market opens up, they may push it down to get more strength to the dollar. But we'll see. Until then, that's what we're looking at. And again, thanks everybody for coming in. We'll be here Monday morning, and we'll try and give you some idea what the next week's schedule is going to be.
Looking forward to it.
And until then, stay dry, stay warm, be safe, and we'll see you Monday. Thanks for
All
coming.
right. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend. God bless.
Yeah.